Hey everyone, Wyduck welcoming you to Game 3 of a Best of 5 series from the Kaspersky Arena September 2013 edition. And this time on Akilon Waste, we've got spawning in the top left as the Blue Terran, we've got Kaup. And Kaup has a real uphill battle if he wants to win this series, as he's down 2-0 to his opponent, spawning in the bottom right as the Red Zerg. Representing Team Liquid, we've got the Little One. And TLO has been vicious in this series. He just really hasn't given Kaup a lot of opportunities to harass his bases or do any economic damage. And so TLO basically in the last two games has constantly been starving Kaup of expansions, of minerals, of gas, and eventually TLO just overwhelms his Terran opponent. So TLO is playing very patient and only striking when he thinks he can do a lot of damage or outright win the game. And it's worked out well in the last two games. We'll have to see if he can do that again in Game 3. Now, we do have the barracks on the high ground and the refinery from Kaup. So Kaup is changing up his playstyle. The first two games, he went for command center first on the high ground in both situations. So now he's opening up with a more standard kind of Reaper harass sort of build. And on Akilon Waste, Reapers are not that bad because you have this wide area from the natural into the main. And you can jump into the natural from outside. So the Reapers are a pretty good unit on this map. And we do have 3 SCVs on that refinery, so I really believe we're going to be seeing Reapers popping out of this lone barracks immediately. As soon as possible. You need 50 gas. There we go. He had 52. And then Reaper is going to be popping out shortly. TLO is opening up with a very standard build he's been using in the previous games. There's a hatchery and a spawning pool. No extractors. So in all the previous games, TLO has not gotten Zergling speed very early. He's gotten it quite... he's gotten it later. I wouldn't say late, but he's gotten it later. And so Kaup generally had map control with the Hellions, but then he didn't do very much in Game 2 or in Game 1 with the map control. He wasn't able to do any economic damage. He didn't kill any drones. He was only able to kill a few creep tumors and some Zerglings. And generally that's not what Hellions are primed to do. They're there to do a lot more damage, otherwise it's kind of wasted resources. But we do have that first Reaper darting across the map, able to spot that hatchery at the natural, and that drone is now darting away, going to turn into an extractor. Great micro from TLO to save that drone. That extractor is going to be canceled immediately, but that Reaper is trying to do some damage here, but we do have 2 Zerglings out on the field. Now, you have to remember Zerglings are not as fast as Reapers, but on that creep, they're pretty fast still, so that Reaper is going to retreat back to the natural and deal with that initial drone that turned into the extractor. Are we going to see it again? No, it doesn't look like it, as that Queen has already popped out, and that should spell the end of this Reaper harass. So, unfortunately for Kaup, he's not doing a lot of damage with these Reapers, and if you build 2 Reapers and you can't really do any damage, it's kind of a waste in a lot of ways. They do cost 50 minerals and 50 gas each. So this is 200 resources he could have used for something better. And unfortunately, with those Queens, though, it doesn't look like Kaup's going to be able to do very much with these Reapers. Now, he is going to have his command center built very shortly here. There we go. It is now finished. As well as a very early third command center before the 5.5 minute mark. It's already almost half done. So Kaup is trying to power ahead with the economic advantage. So maybe this might work out for him in this game, going for that macro-oriented style economic heavy strategy instead of the previous 2 games where he was behind economically and ultimately cost him the game both times. But like I said before, these Reapers are not able to do very much. At least he's able to keep TLO kind of hemmed in into his side of the map. So TLO is not going to be able to scout this third as easily, but you have to remember TLO does have this Overlord here on the side of the map, so if he wants to drift it in later, he will be able to spot that third. And I like the fact that TLO in this game even has creep tumors in his main, because on Akilon Waste, there are a few areas where you actually can't see the entire part of your main base. So a drop could happen here, and you wouldn't even see it until the Marines actually got to here, for example. So having creep tumors in your base is not a bad idea, and also it gives you a speed advantage for all your units, especially your queens. I've seen it so many times where the medevac's able to run away, and the queen's here, but since it's off creep, it cannot catch the medevac, even without boost. So I think this is a good play by TLO, and he's spreading that creep everywhere now, and he has 2 forward queens just constantly spreading creep, excuse me. I don't know what a queep is. I'm not Elmer Fudd. I don't know why it came out as a W sound, but I think this creep spread is very, very aggressive. And these Hellions really, really need to stop this creep spread from happening so quickly. Otherwise, this game might end very quickly as well. Now, Kaup is going to come in here, able to pick off 1 creep tumor. But these queens are going to be able to do some damage to the Hellions and scare them away. And once again, TLO is not quitting with that creep spread. He's just putting down more and more creep tumors. And I think this is a great play. And even getting his Overlord into some of that filthy purple action. Kaup is trying to prevent this. He's actually added a few more Hellions to his repertoire, but it looks like 1 Hellion is going to bite the dust. Now, TLO has to be careful here. This queen is in the red. If he doesn't microwave carefully, it will be a shot down, and the queen does go down. So trading a queen for a Hellion is not a bad trade for Kaup. So good play by Kaup. Now, we do have 1-1 on the way for Kaup's bio, as well as a starport and stim pack. But we have a whole bunch of roaches already on the field for TLO, and he is moving across the map. He has about a 20 supply advantage, but this can be a little bit deceiving because generally a lot of players don't regard roaches as really a unit that's worth 2 supply. They might be worth, 1.5 supply, for example. So even though there is about 25 supply advantage, this doesn't necessarily mean TLO is going to win outright here. The bunker is going to get focused down. It does go down immediately. SCVs have been pulled off the line. The Hellions are doing a lot of splash damage to these Hellions. Excuse me, to the roaches. We have 1 siege tank in the back doing significant splash damage. He already has 4 kills, and the roaches are going to have to retreat. 2 more kills from that one last shot from that siege tank, and TL is going to have to vacate the premises, at least temporarily. Resources loss is in favor of Kaup, and that was a pretty good hold by him. But now this 3rd base is going to be under attack, it looks like. And is he going to have enough siege tanks or other units to deal with this? Because once this rock wall goes down, Hellions and Marines are not a very good combination to deal with roaches. So it looks like Kaup will be repositioning his siege tank closer. I think this is a good move. And the roaches are moving in. Another great volley by the siege tank. The siege tank is doing significant damage here. No kills yet, but it looks like this missile turret will be forfeit as well as that SEV. And I think that's going to force a lift off. There we go. That 3rd base is going to have to lift off. And previously, we thought Kaup might get the economic advantage because he built that very quick 3rd. But TLO already has his 3rd up and running with lots of drones. And this 3rd is not mining for Kaup, so effectively in a lot of ways, TLO is up 1 base, 3-2. So Kaup is going to have to recollect himself. He's going to start mining from this 3rd base. But TLO was able to do some damage with these roaches, even though it wasn't necessarily cost efficient. You have to remember, TLO does have his 3rd base up and running, so he can throw away a few more resources than his Terran opponent. I've never really looked at the Overseer up close and personal like this. I didn't know that he had a triangular eyes here, like perfectly triangular. Anyways, looks pretty cool. I wonder what he looks like on the side. Yeah, even more eyes. Anyways, so we do have a medevac here that is boosting into position. Now, Kaup does have control of the Zelnaga Tower, and he is able to spot that swarm host, but the roach is going to be moving into position. I don't know why he was dancing there for a moment, but this Marine is going to bite the dust. The Zelnaga Tower control will be forfeited back to TLO. This roach is going to try and run away. We've got Stim Marines in hot pursuit. That roach will be destroyed as well. Kaup is going to try and drop with just 6 Marines. Right into that Spore Crawler, and the second Spore Crawler right in the middle. I don't think this is a very good positioning. That medevac does go down immediately. And the fact that we have Locust out on the field now, this might be a big problem for Kaup. Kaup's going to have to counter this by building a lot of siege tanks. As generally, Bio's not that good against Swarm Hosts unless you can deal with the Swarm Host itself. Because if you just send your Stim Marines into a whole bunch of Locusts, well, that's a great trade for TLO, but not a very good deal for Kaup. So Kaup's going to have to figure out what he wants to do to counter Swarm Hosts. And it looks like TLO is being very aggressive here. He is very close to Kaup's base, and the Locusts have been deployed, and the Marines are going to have to retreat. Like I said, if the Stim Marines want to go and fight Locusts head on, I don't think TLO is going to mind. And we actually have a whole bunch of stag defenses being built in the middle of the map as well, because this creep is so far out of TLO's base. Just this awesome and great creep spread gives TLO a lot of options here. Now the Locusts are going to get burned up by these 2 siege tanks, and that's going to rack up the kill count for these tanks, but I don't think it's necessarily accurate. And it's interesting that we actually have +1 armor before +1 weapons. I think +1 weapons is generally better for siege tanks. And Kaup might need it in the very near future. But we do have a drop in the main, and remember those creep tumors able to spot this drop immediately, but there's not a lot of defense here, only a single queen. And we also have a drop at the natural. The roaches are going to be able to dispose of these Marines very easily, but not the main. The queen did bite the dust, and there's still 5 Marines stimming here, focusing down on this lair, trying to get it down before it turns into a hive, but the Marines will not survive the next volley of attacks. They're going to have to get picked up by that medevac, and it's actually shot down by that queen. And now TL is going to reinforce with 3 spore crawlers. And I think that's going to spell the end of a lot of drops if they come into this sector. I don't think they're going to be very successful. So TL has been able to defend his lair. And you have to remember, on lair tech, you can't get 3-3. And Kaup is starting 3-3 already. So Kaup is going to have a small window where his units are slightly better than his Zerg opponent. But can he use that to his advantage? Because TL has so many Swarm Hosts just pumping out Locusts for free. We have 18 here. And even though there's so many siege tanks, anytime they can get any damage done, that's minerals lost. This bunker is taking a lot of damage, and it's actually going to burn down. So not a bad play by the Locust. Now Kaup is going to be forcing forward into the middle of the map, cleaning up a lot of creep spread, as well as some spine crawlers. Now there is only 1 medevac here, and the medevac is going to have a tough time healing all these Marines and Marauders. They are very weak, and it looks like the medevac is just going to give up on half that force. They're just going to be sacrificed to this incoming wave of roaches. We have another drop here at the main. The spore crawlers didn't do enough damage to that medevac, and it looks like this hive is going to bite the dust. Finally, evolution chamber is going down, but the hive has been destroyed. So great move by Kaup, but unfortunately, +3 missile attacks and armor has already been upgraded, so that's not going to prevent the 3-3 upgrades from finishing. But Kaup is still focusing down on the Roach Warren in the main base. So Kaup is doing very well in this game compared to the other games. Able to pick off that Roach Warren as well. Killing those crucial structures is something we didn't see in the previous 2 games. So good move by Kaup. Able to get that drop down even with so many spore crawlers here. Able to pick off that hive. But now he's going to have to play a little bit defensive here. We've got so many Locusts at the front door. Killing a few Marines and Marauders as well. And that's a lot of blood. Kind of looks like paint, but that's pretty bloody on the ramp, and this will never end. The Locusts are just going to constantly be coming forward. The siege tanks are going to town. They're ranking up the kills, but it doesn't mean much if you're losing units. So it looks like we're going to have a drop in the center of the map. The scan does go down. A lot of Swarm Hosts are being targeted down, but there's just too many roaches, and there's also queens here as well. And some of those Swarm Hosts did go down. Looks like he's down to 16. But still, a mass majority of the Swarm Hosts are still alive. And now, Kaup has been able to confirm. We do see Vipers as well from TLO. And it looks like this is going to be a slow death strategy once again from TLO. We do have a drop in the 4th base. The Marines are very weak already. The Roaches have been rallied to defend. And that's going to force another evac with those medevacs. And I think this game might play very similarly to Game 1 and Game 2. The strategy is just to be very patient, mine a lot more resources than your opponent, and just kind of starve them out. And it's worked in the previous 2 games. And it looks like TL is going to run in here with the Vipers, pulling the Sea Tanks out of position. All 3 Sea Tanks will be destroyed. We do have Vipers here looking for retribution, but with these Queens in play with 2-2 upgrades, I don't think the Vikings should be hanging out here too long. And it looks like we are going to be seeing even more Spore Crawlers in a very forward position. This queen is out of position. It will be destroyed. There we go. Look at that limb. That's a very, very, very long arm, or whatever it's called. But that's small consolation for Kaup, as he is taking a lot of losses, and he's actually lost more than his Zerg opponent. So TLO is being even more cost efficient than his Terran opponent. And it's simply because these locusts are free. They don't cost anything. Now, Kaup does have a 4th base up and running, but there are no SCVs there, as he's wary of losing SCVs to a locust incoming attack, and he's pretty accurate about that. Kaup is still losing Marines and Marines. Now, he is going to try and do an attack on the right side of this entranceway, but this area is very narrow, and so it's very easy for opponents on the other side to get a good concave. Now, the Locusts have been able to barge up to the front of this ramp and actually been able to take down a siege tank without the assistance of Vipers. Now, we do have a whole bunch of Widow Mines in position, but I don't think this is a very good cluster of Widow Mines, because they might all activate on just a few Locusts. And we do have the SCVs transferring to a possible 5th base as well, but TL is going to spot this. I'm not sure why Kaup did that, especially when he saw all the roaches in position there before. So Kaup knows exactly where those SCVs are going, and now they're just going to get picked apart for free. And this Orbital Command is going to have to lift. At the same time, his 4th is under attack from all these Locusts, and it might burn down. So now Kaup is only mining from 3 bases, or 2 should I say, as his main is entirely mined out. Now, what's interesting is that TL only has 4 bases, and he hasn't gotten his 5th yet. So I think TL is going to have to expand soon. Otherwise, he might be hurting for resources as well, because currently, Kaup is actually ahead in resources, both in gas and minerals. Now, both armies are maxed out, and generally, a Terran maxed out army is more potent than a maxed out Zerg army. But we have all these Locusts constantly popping out, as well as the Spore and Spine Crawlers in these forward positions. And it's going to be difficult for Kaup to move ahead. Now, he's dropping with Marauders, trying to clean up these Spore Crawlers. At the same time, we've got Middle Mines in the middle of the map, but it doesn't look like they're going to be able to do too much. That one Sea Tank had 62 kills, but how much you want to bet almost all of them were Locusts. So that's not exactly anything to brag about. So TLO and Kaup have basically drawn the battle lines. Oh, we have a Reaper here. Very interesting. 7 kills on this Reaper. It will be destroyed. The infested Terrans are going to town on these medevacs. But as I was saying, both players have drawn a line in the sand. But if you take a look at this line is basically 75-25. And that's not a very good deal if this is your side of the map. So Kaup needs to reestablish a new demilitarized zone. Otherwise, he is not going to be able to hold on for long. I mean, he's looking pretty good for resources now, but as the time goes on and the game goes further into the later stages, TLO is just going to be able to mine so much. So we do have a drop in the middle of the map. We have so many infestors dropping down fungal growths, and now the roaches are coming in here. They're getting shot down. There's actually no micro here. The infestors are being destroyed as well. Another fungal growth does go down, but a lot of units were missed, catching 1 medevac. So good drops by Kaup trying to break this wall. He's not able to break this wall from the front. He's trying to go through the back, but it was not that successful. Now, we do have another drop here. The Marauders are going to be destroyed, as well as another drop in the 4th base of Kaup. Now, that Spore Crawler did take down that medevac, and these units are in the red as medevac also has very little life here. And the fungal growth does catch the medevac once again, constantly catching the medevac in action. But this is not going well for Kaup, and that Viking was destroyed, I think, and it didn't have a death animation. But anyways, we actually have Banshees out now for Kaup, and I'm not sure what Banshees are going to do against so many Locusts. It's true Locusts can't hit air units, but with so many Locusts, how many Banshees are you going to need to deal with them? And once again, Kaup is forced into a very untenable position here. His 4th base is under attack. He's trying to be aggressive here. He has 1 lone Marauder picking away. He also has a few other Marauders and Marines near TLO's base, but not doing that much damage here. Picking off a few infestors, so that's a pretty good deal. but it looks like his 4th base is going to be sacrificed. And so Kaup, once again, is not able to establish his 4th base. Now, he does have a base up here, but it's actually cut off by creep spread. And so it's going to be very, very easy, I think, for TLO to finish off the space. There we go, just a whole bunch of infested Terrans. Happy birthday. You're getting gunfire. You are a bad boy. And this orbital command is not going to be able to survive. It's going to try and float away, but it's not going to be able to do that. So once again, even though Kaup has a lot of resources, he's not able to really establish a 4th and 5th base. And TLO has been able to mine from this base just for a little while. But I have a feeling TLO is going to be able to hold this base. And obviously, I don't have to tell you what's going to happen if one player has 5 bases and the other one has 3. Now, Kaup, once again, has a mana vac full of units here, but he's not controlling it. It's just getting shot down by the Queens. And one more shot, and it will go kablooey, losing all the Marines and Marauders in there. That's very unfortunate. Now, TL is going to be able to clean up a lot of this creep spread that was in the middle between his 3rd and 4th bases here, and he's going to be moving out across the map. He wants to be aggressive here and send that creep back home. So these Marauders are stampeding in here. There's not that many Swarmos here, so I think this group of Marauders can do some damage. But unfortunately, the Fungal Growth does catch a lot of the Marauders. The Roaches are not keeping up their end of the bargain, and the Locusts have been able to dispatch most of these Marauders. So even though there weren't that many Swarm Hosts in conjunction with those Fungal Growths, the Marauders basically have been cleaned up. And once again, Kaup is trying to mine from this area, but he's not going to be able to do it. Now, Kaup does have these 4 Marauders focusing down on this new hive. And even if he's able to get this building down, I don't think it's going to be that much of a victory. Now, his Marauders are actually getting pecked away by drones. They actually only do 1 damage, but the drones are able to destroy all those Marauders. Very interesting play by TLO, especially since it worked. Now, TLO is going to try and prevent Kaup from mining from this 5th base. But it looks like he might not be able to, at least temporarily for now. But remember, he still has all these Swarm Hosts right in the front. We've got 20 Swarm Hosts on the map. And so much creep spread. These Locusts are just biding their time. We've got 2 siege tanks on the high ground. Might be a good time for some Viper pulls. There we go. The tanks are on the low ground. They have been destroyed, as well as the Marauders. And now the Mules are under attack. Now, Locusts do run out of time, but the second wave is coming, as there is wave after wave of Locusts poking away at this base. So this game is about 32 minutes long, and both players have basically said this is the line in the sand. And I think TLO is very happy where this line is. He's also getting a 6th base up and running very soon here. And constantly, Kaup cannot really mine from this area safely. This 9 o'clock base is constantly under attack. And in fact, the SCVs and Mules have been dispatched to repair that orbital command. But at the same time, the base at the 12 o'clock position is under attack. But we do have a counter drop from Kaup. The Marines are not able to do that much. In fact, it's just 2 Marauders. They're not able to hold this position, it looks like. There is a Corruptor here as well. The Infested Terrans are adding some DPS. And we've also got some action at this bottom 5th base for TLO. We've got a whole bunch of Infested Terrans lining up. There we go. They have popped out of their eggs. The Marauders are going to be destroyed. And man, these Infested Terrans are slow, even on creep. And TLO is just going to get 5 Spine Crawlers. So I think further attacks are going to be nullified. Now, once again, Kaup is trying to mine from these 2 bases, one at the 12 o'clock position and one at the 9 o'clock position. But he hasn't been able to mine from them consistently, and now he's out of resources, at least minerals to mine. And so even though he's maxed out, he's really hurting, because once these units go down, eventually he won't be able to replenish his army. And with so many Locusts, as well as Broodlords, I don't think this bio army is going to do very well. Kaup's going to have to switch to a few more Vikings, I think. But with so many Locusts, it's so difficult to choose what kind of units you're going to concentrate on. Look at this siege tank, 141 kills, 127. But like I said, that doesn't mean very much because those were all free units. We do have a drop here from the Marines and the Marauders. They're going to be able to clean up some of the Zerglings as well as some of the Queens, but it looks like they're all going to be in the red. The Zerglings are going to pick them all apart, except for this one lone Marine saved by this medevac. And the medevac is going to drop that Marine just to die a even more horrible death. So Kaup has not been able to do very much. Once again, the 12 o'clock base is under attack. He's trying to make something happen here, right where all the spine crawlers are. But with so many reinforcements, TLO is just sitting pretty. And once again, Kaup cannot mine from either the 12 or 9 o'clock base. And he has 1,600 resources now, but that is going to be zero very quickly here. He really needs to start mining. Now, once again, he sent out some mules to mine a little bit, but with the Locust there, the Orbital Command is going to have to lift away once again. So I think this is just a matter of time. Kaup is not going to be able to hold indefinitely. He's going to lose units, just 1 or 2 units every single wave of Locusts. Maybe he'll lose a few more if there's some Viper pull-ins. It looks like he's going to force an engagement here over at the 5th base for TLO. Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe Kaup can come back. We do have 5 spine crawlers here, but they're not in position. And it looks like the medevacs are going to boost away, able to pick off that hatchery. So good move by Kaup. Now, is he going to be able to do even more damage here? I'm not so sure, because all those bases are basically mined out he's heading to. And we have a lot of spore crawlers in position as well. Kaup is just going to fly directly over. He doesn't care. The Zerglings are reinforcing this position as well as the Corruptors. So I think Kaup's day in the sun is not going to end very well, as his Marines and Marauders are being surrounded, and the medevacs are not going to be able to boost away, as the Corruptors are taking their liberties with them. And the medevac will be destroyed. There we go. 1 Marauder left. That's not going to survive. And TLO is still relentlessly sending in Locusts up Kaup's ramp. And like I said, even if he gets 1 hit on 1 unit or on 1 building, these things are unlimited, and I don't think TLO is going to relinquish here. In fact, the siege tanks are doing a lot of splash damage to the supply depots. And now Kaup is entirely drained of resources. He only has 36 minerals left. He's not able to mine any of the bases. We have also got Broodlords harassing at the 9 o'clock position, and obviously Broodlords really like siege tanks, because they can't fight back, and they end up focusing down on those free broodlings. So Kaup is going to be able to deflect that attack just temporarily here, but it doesn't really matter. Just look at his supplies and his resources. It's slowly going down. TLO is slowly going up, and 3 tanks have been pulled ahead. The Broodlords are going to be able to destroy 2 of the siege tanks, and the last one is going to bite the dust as well. So now Kaup doesn't even have that siege tank line to deal with all those free Locusts. And the supplies are about 70 apart. Kaup is going to have to tap out. And TLO, once again, just starving his opponent, just making sure he's not able to do very much. And TLO is going to claim victory. He's going to sweep the series 3-0, and he's going to move on to the finals to face Nurkio.